What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here once again with AC, Dilly Vanilli, and Kevole. We're here to break down the season and the roster for the Washington Redskins heading into 2018. The Redskins, to me, are an intriguing team because last year I saw them as a borderline playoff team. They didn't quite make that jump, but they were very, very injury-plagued last season. They did make quite a few changes over the course of this offseason. They do still have a pretty talented roster. They still have the same coach. They did switch quarterbacks, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins. They made a couple big free agency signings with Paul Richardson. They drafted Daron Payne. So the Redskins looking like a similar roster to last season. The biggest question to me is, can they stay healthy? I want to hear from these guys. Do they see it the same way? Let me know, guys. Let's start off with Kevole. What do you think of the Washington Redskins this year?
Well, I don't think a lot of the Washington Redskins. I think that there's some interesting talent there. I think Trent Williams is and Sean Lavello on the left side, solid on your left side of your offensive line. Zach Brown and Mason Foster, good running, good linebackers. Jonathan Allen is a beast at defensive end. You got Josh Norman is probably considered one of the best cornerbacks. So you look at this and there's some things that are there, but we just did a video when you guys were talking about Eli Manning. I'm not the guy that's sold on Alex Smith. But before I get to Alex Smith, I'm also not sold on some of the acquisitions that they made. I think that they completely overpaid for Paul Richardson. I think that's going to be a hard contract to overcome. And I look at their running backs overall, and Chris Thompson is a great third down back. They don't have that, but like in comparison to what they have in this division, where you got a Barkley and an Elliott and the Eagles combination of running backs, Ajayi and Clements, I just don't see that the same way. They have Orlando Scandrick on the left side of their cornerback. I think that's interesting. He's okay. DJ Swearinger will be okay. There's some things that are okay. And I think throughout this NFC East video, other than Doug Peterson, I've kind of slagged on the coaches, and I will continue to do that here. I'm not sold on Jay Gruden myself as a head coach. I just think that there's pieces in Washington that look okay, but as a team, I don't see it. Particularly don't think not that I'm a huge Kirk Cousins fan, but I'm just not sold on the entire team concept of the Washington Redskins. I have them at 4-12 and 4th place in the NFC East.
Personally, I'm not a fan of this Redskins team either. Wide receiver, the game of the wide receiver at the Redskins for the last couple of years has been very interesting, especially last year where it just kind of fell apart and none of the pieces that they thought were going to work worked, except for Jamison Crowder. He had a very good season. I think he'll continue to have a very good season this year. Josh Donaldson hasn't sold himself as the number one draft pick for the Redskins, a first-round draft pick. Paul Richardson comes in. I said this before. I think it's the worst free agent signing of this year because of the money that he's getting, and I don't think he fits with Alex Smith's scheme whatsoever. He fit with Russell Wilson because he's going to go run out there and he's going to help bail out Russell Wilson, but Alex Smith is not Russell Wilson. They're two completely different quarterbacks. Offensive line is solid. Brandon Streff, always a good right guard, and like you said, Trent Williams is very good as well. Running back, for the love of God, please stop telling me Darius Geis is the number one shit, because I've gotten that so many times in the last couple months. Mitch knows that. He can attest to that. I did put him as my number 3 running back in this draft class. I want everybody to know that, to just get a lot of shit for that. But I actually kind of disagree on the running back stance. I don't think it's as solid as the rest of the division, but there are some pretty decent running backs here. Geis, like I said, even though I've given him shit, is good. Rob Kelly can make some plays. Chris Thompson was very good last year when healthy. And Samaje Perine actually had some pretty good games, especially his game against the Saints last year. So there is some decent players, and if they can do something, maybe they can help out Alex Smith. It's not the best, but I think there is a little bit of depth there. On defense.
But in comparison to the rest of the division, I would definitely put them 4th.
Well, that's a stacked division of running
It depends on how good Geis is.
It really depends.
What if Geis is as good as Ajayi? Then all of a sudden they're probably better than the Eagles running backs.
Like the Eagles' production in 2017, the Cowboys with Elliott, and
they definitely have more depth than the Giants or the Cowboys. They just don't have the quality. So I mean, it all depends on guys.
I think you're underselling them on the running back. That's just my opinion, Kev. Deron Payne coming in here, I think it was a great pick for them. Preston Smith is good, and Ryan Kerrigan still there. I don't really like Orlando Scandrick in this offense, or excuse me, in this defense. I don't know what I'm talking about. DJ Swearinger, I think, is very good. But Josh Norman, personally, to me, I think he's been overrated since he's gone to Washington. I think he was very good in that one season in Carolina, but I think he has not lived up to the expectations as a top cornerback here in Washington. Personally, I see some good talent, like I just mentioned, but I feel like the team chemistry is not really there, and I really have to question some of the things that they're bringing to the table. And Jordan Reed, great tight end, but he continues to get hurt. I can never promise him to have a full 16-game season. But, yeah, I'm going to go 6-10, a little bit more higher than Kev here, but I think they'll be last in the division. Like Kev said as well, I'm not 100% sold on Alex Smith, and with the receivers that he has, I don't think it complements him well as it did in Kansas City. The way that Kansas City brought with their receivers, with guys like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce was a big tight end. I just don't think it equates to the same magic that they had in Kansas City, and I don't think this team is going to be very good. So I have them at 6-10 and last in the NFC East.
Okay, I have them at 6-10, but I'm going to put a bit of a different spin on them. I only have them 6-10 because just it's somewhat realistic what we saw last year. But I think they could potentially be a dark horse team and be better than the Giants and win more games than the Cowboys and the Giants. I'm just going to take it from this point of view. Their big issue last year is their offensive line never was healthy. They had probably 3 guys out at one time. That hurt them quite a bit. I do think their receivers are not as good as they were last year, or even what I preached 2 years ago, that losing Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon was the worst thing to happen to this team, because Pierre Garçon was so clutch on third down.
How are they not better than last year, though?
They're not better than last year because they lose Pryor.
But Richardson's better than Pryor.
How do you switch so quick?
Because Pryor got like 300 yards and didn't
I know,
even
but
play.
like going into last year, you were like the biggest Pryor fan ever.
Pryor literally only played like 5 games and then sat on the bench. I mean, as long as Richardson plays more than that, he's better.
I guess so. That's just a different take.
It depends on the contract. That's a huge contract.
Exactly, and it's a different take because I thought
does the contract affect the team this season on the football field?
No. I'm just saying that I just thought you were a huge Pryor fan. That's why when I said that, I thought
Pryor didn't work out in that system. I still think he's a decent football player, but I mean, he didn't prove himself last year in this system.
Richardson works out in this system.
I don't see how Richardson can be worse than Pryor.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Okay, I'm with you there. I'll continue. So I just still think their receiving core it's still not top tier, especially you look at most receiving cores in the NFC. Josh Doxson, we've been waiting for him to be a player. He had some flashes of it last year. Jamison Crowder last year decreased immensely, not having Deshaun Jackson and Garçon. Crowder's best year was when he played in the slot with those guys around him. But if Jordan Reed's healthy and his offensive line's healthy, I think this is perfect for Alex Smith, because Alex Smith, obviously we know he doesn't throw to his receivers. He started a little more the last couple of years, but he does like his tight end. So I do think if Jordan Reed stays healthy, that's going to help them. I do think Darius Geis has potential of being the second best rookie running back this year, because this offensive line is good. I think they've always been able to run the ball in the past. Chris Thompson has the third down, and then their defense. Like, I don't see that much. Like, obviously, it's nothing really stands out, but they got a good defensive line. Their linebacking core, you could say, is up there in the best in the NFC East. That's pretty fair. You could say this linebacking core is the best in the NFC East. On average. And then their corners, I agree with you with Scandrick. I do think Josh Norman's still always the #1 corner. But the thing with Scandrick, I don't think Scandrick plays that much. I do think we're going to see more of Fabian Moreau, who was highly touted coming out of UCLA. And also Quentin Dunbar is a good depth piece. And then safeties, strong safety could be a problem. But Troy Apke from Penn State, who they drafted, I think it's going to be good. All in all, I think they go 6-10. But I could definitely see them winning more games and being better than the Giants and the Cowboys. I just think Alex Smith, I'm an Alex Smith fan. I've seen enough that he's good with an offensive-minded coach, get the ball off quick. He can run, which I think they were missing with Kirk. Kirk did that here and there, but still, I think they're going to be good, and I think Darius Geis is the guy, because obviously Perrine they thought was going to be the guy, Rob Kelly. Those aren't the guys. Darius Geis is above and beyond a lot better than those two guys. So I do think he's going to have quite the good year as a running back.
For me, I think the Redskins are similarly to what AC said. I think they're a team that you have to look out for. They're sort of a dark horse team, but I'm not necessarily going to predict them to be that team. I think I have them finishing 7-9, the same as the Giants, because I really can't just kind of put a difference on who is going to be better and who is going to be worse. I feel like they're about the same team, and they both have similar qualities of dark horse potential. Quarterback Alex Smith, I think, like AC said, is going to thrive with Jay Gruden. I don't know why you guys, Kevin, Dylan, are so low on Alex Smith coming into the season. He just had his best season of his career and finally proved he could throw the ball deep. So that is something. He also has played on two different teams in two totally different schemes where he has succeeded. In San Francisco, very defensive-minded football team, running game, play action. In Kansas City, more was on his shoulders, more of a short passing game. He used his athleticism a little bit more. And I think that's what they're going to do with Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden's a smart offensive coach. May not be a great leader of men in terms of head coach material. We'll see if he can improve in that area. But, I mean, his roster is sort of in the middle of the NFL. Defensive coordinator, I think, is super underrated. Greg Minuski is very, very good. Jordan Reed, like AC said, needs to stay healthy. If he can, this offense can be pretty good. I think Jamison Crowder is going to be the best receiver on this team and will continue to be. But I think he's going to have his best season of his career with Alex Smith this year, because I think Alex Smith and him will have immediate sort of chemistry. Darius Geis and Chris Thompson will be the primary two in the backfield, and I think the other two will sort of spell in when they need to. Zach Brown is a beast in the middle. Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith can provide pressure. I just want to see their run defense get a little bit stronger with the addition of Daron Payne. I think it can. So overall, I think this team is slightly, maybe slightly better than last year because they won't get as injured as much. I just think that was super unlucky what happened last year. And I think that they're overall going to be a competitive team in a lot of close games, but they'll probably fall short more times than not. But if they do end up winning some of those close games, unlike last year, then they could be on the road to a wild card team. So that's our thoughts on the Redskins this year, unless you guys have any other arguments or questions to get into. But we all think that the Redskins, at least two of us think the Redskins are going to be sort of a 7-9, 6-10 team that has potential to do more. And the other two think they're definitely the worst team in the NFC East.
Well, I did have them 6-10 too.
Yeah, Dylan had them 6-10, but you never really brought up the prospect of them being any better than that, did you?
No, but I'm just letting you know I was part of that.
And Kevole is at 4-12, thinking they're one of the worst teams in the NFC. All right. That's the Washington Redskins preview. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and subscribe for more NFL previews on the Bottom Line View. Peace out.